All right, so we're in a comfortable seat. We're taking the heels of the hands into our upper thighs. It's a little press down, lean forward. We're getting into the body, right? This is kind of like the morning yoga handshake with yourself. Kuchu is here for moral support. And then let's go side to side, pressing into one thigh, leaning away. Nice. And then back through center over to the other side. And so we're getting this little metronome action going back and forth, feeling the side body. Gorgeous. And then coming back to neutral a couple of times, we run the heels of the hands from the hip towards the knee, ironing out the leg. Beautiful. And then hands to the side ribs, lifting ourselves up, getting length. Maybe we turn a little side to side just to see where is the mobility in the body. Right? So we benefit greatly from restorative practices when we're in these changes of season, but especially in these changes of season near full moons, because there's just more abundant energy. It can feel like things are a little more ungrounded. Coming back to neutral, let's inhale the arms up in a wide V, reaching through the fingertips, stretching through all the fingernails, and then drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. Lift the chin. Broadness through the frontal plane of the body, but don't lift the tailbone. Instead, drop the tailbone down towards the center of the earth. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, floating the hands to the lap. Bring the chin parallel to the floor. Go ahead, close the eyes. Closing the eyes, going inside. Investigating how it is this morning. And it might be that you're working on the physical body, noticing how the sits bones are meeting the earth. Does it feel evenly balanced, right side, left side? What do we need to do to find equanimity through the hips? And then a little drawing back of the belly button, a little connection, pubic bone, belly button, and then lift and spread the collarbones. Arm bones hang heavy at the side waist, palms open and receptive. Then soften the throat, relax the jaw, bottom jaw falling away from top jaw, ears equidistant to the earth beneath you. Relax the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose. Soften the eyes in their sockets. Let's think about spreading the eyebrows, releasing any tension from between them. And then smooth out the skin of the forehead. Relax the skin at the temples. Soften the inner ears. And then come to the breath. Give yourself an opportunity to notice that you're breathing. Give yourself an opportunity to be present with that rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. Right? Can we arrive in the breath? From here, let's take the hands together in front of the heart, palm against palm, fingers elongated. Lift the sternum to the base of the thumbs, broaden the collarbones. We're making space for sound. I'm going to invite you to chant the sound of Om with me 3 times and then the invocation. Go ahead, exhale fully, let go of all the breath you currently have, and then inhale fully to begin. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Take a deep breath. On your exhale, let your chin come towards your chest. Let your hands find your lap. Keep lifting the sternum. And just for a moment, let's work with the skull. Rolling left ear towards left shoulder. Then the chin comes back through center, right ear towards right shoulder. You go back and forth at your breath pace. Take your, excuse me, take your time. You're investigating the cervical spine. This is information that will be useful in a little bit. Gorgeous. And then letting the chin come towards the chest, shoulder blades down, lift the sternum. Then take your hands to the sides of the head. So you've got the base of the thumbs right into the temple flesh, wrapping the fingers over the top of the head. And especially if all this, we've had kind of crazy weather where it's cold and then it's hot and then it's cold and then it's hot. That can give you a little bit of a headache. So if that's been something you've been managing, apply a little pressure to the head, really giving it a little squeeze. And then use your hands to help bring your skull back on top of the spine. Slowly let the fingers drip down all the way to the lap. And then as you feel ready on an inhalation, you can start to flutter the eyelids open, taking in form and color and shape. Beautiful. Let's extend the legs. So unpack your legs, reach them forward, and iron them out, coming to a bit of a forward bend, right? So we're pushing the energy from the hip towards the ankle, but as you get towards the ankle, let the torso come towards the leg. So we're getting that little bit of forward bending in. Mm-hmm. Just noticing, how does that work for us? We're seeing, is there tightness in the legs? We're doing an experiment. I know, I didn't tell you we were going to be experimenting today, but here we are. So next time you come forward into your forward bend, I want you to reach through the heels, hold on to any part of the leg you can. Inhale up halfway, lift the heart away from the belly button. And then as you exhale, see how far you come down. It may not be very far. We haven't done anything else. That's kind of the point. We're just seeing if we have any forward bend capacity. All right. And then coming back up to neutral, I want you to pick one leg. So pick a leg, right leg, left leg, doesn't matter. Come inside the knee, bring the foot closer to you. And if you can, you're going to put that ankle up on top of the opposite thigh. Now, for some people, it doesn't feel good to have that knee sort of hanging in space. So you could absolutely put a block there. For others, it doesn't feel good to have that foot on the thigh, so you could even put a flat block underneath the foot and then another block underneath the knee. So I want this to feel very supportive, But what we want is we want the foot close enough to us that we can weave our fingers between our toes. Weave our fingers between our toes. If you have socks on, it doesn't work. You have to take a sock off. You can put it back on when we're done, but take your sock off if you have one on. And you're weaving your fingers between the toes. It's called interdigitization. I didn't make that word up. I know it sounds like I did. Ideally, you get webbing to webbing. So your fingers are all the way as far as they can go in. Now, if this is very uncomfortable, you might skip a toe. You might just have the tips of the fingers in there. That's fine. But then our thumbs are free to go into the sole of the foot and give a little massage. Now, we've done this in the past, but it's been a while. And this is all part of our experiment to see if we do something to the foot, how far up the body is the effect, right? So we're getting into this foot. I'm pressing and doing like a little circular action with the thumb as it's in the foot, going all over the landscape of the sole of the foot. Soften the jaw. It's kind of amazing how quickly the jaw wants to take over here. Pressing and squishing and massaging. Maybe you have some other technique that you're using, breathing. And then I quite like to take the thumb and index finger of the free hand and go along the inner and outer heel, kind of sliding back and forth like a pincer, applying a little bit of pressure there. Then you can also massage the ankle and that space behind the Achilles tendon. Sometimes there's tension there. Gorgeous. Take another few seconds if there was a spot that felt particularly cranky. Nice. And then we're going to release. Let the leg extend. So all we've done is massage the foot. Now, if you need to, you can move the buttock flesh out of the way, but we're going back to Paschimottanasana, back to our seated forward bend. This time we'll go in a little more classically. You're going to inhale the arms up towards the sky. Then as you exhale, hinge forward, lean forward, and just see if you can feel a difference from the leg you worked on to the leg you didn't. You might be surprised, right? I'm feeling a very big difference in my leg. It's interesting, even the hamstring and calf muscle release, maybe the same is for you, right? Just explore. Let's come up halfway. Inhale, lengthen the torso, just like we did in the beginning, and then exhale, come down as far as feels possible. Maybe you've gained some ground. Amazing. All we did was work on the foot. Okay. Exhale, release the legs. Inhale, come back up to seated. We have to do the other side. So whatever side you didn't work on, hand goes inside the knee so that you can easily get the foot closer. If you need to prop in any way, don't expect it to be the same. And then we're interdigitizing, weaving our fingers between our toes. I know it's not the weirdest thing I've ever asked you to do. Getting the thumbs involved. This foot might even feel different than the first foot. That's not unusual. We're breathing as we work. We're relaxing the jaw. I know it's quick, right? The jaw just goes crunch as soon as you're focusing on something else, at least mine does. Maybe you're not a tight-jawed person, and then I'm very glad for you. Getting the thumbs in there, walking around the sole of the foot. And then just as we did on the first side, we can use the thumb and the index finger of the free hand and go in and out on the sides of the heel. And then we can use those same fingers to massage in the back of the ankle, right around the Achilles tendon. Amazing how much work these feet do for us. When you think about the talus bone, which is this little bone that everything is kind of the ankle comes into and the tarsals come off of, and it's about the size of your thumb. So you've got the entire weight of your body on these two little bones, the size of your thumb. The feet are kind of a amazing engineering marvel when we think about it. Gorgeous. Take another few seconds working on that one spot or two spots that you were like, oh, there's a lot of sensation there. Gorgeous. And then exhale, release. Let the leg extend again if your buttock flesh got crept underneath your sits bones. And then one more time, we're inhaling the arms up, lift up, reach up. Exhale, hinge forward. Anything you can hold on to. So it might be your calf muscle, might be your ankle, might be your feet. And then we're just seeing how far can we come down? Did it change at all? Right? With curiosity, we approach the experiment. And then let's inhale up halfway. So could we lengthen the frontal plane of the torso, lifting the heart away from the belly button, and then exhaling, coming down again. Any amount that feels tolerable, right? We haven't done anything for the hamstrings or the calf muscles, but yet here we are finding a little more depth in our pose. Gorgeous. Exhale, navel to spine, rolling up from the base of the spine. Use your hands underneath your knees. Bring the feet wide. Move any props out of the way. We'll take the knees from side to side now, releasing tension from the hips, from the groins, from the low back, right? The whole kind of kit and caboodle, as it were. Technical yoga terms we're using this morning. All right. From here, let's set up for a chest opener. That's probably going to feel delicious. So we'll roll up our blanket nice and tight. We want a firm surface, a supportive surface for the back of the shoulder blades. And I'm putting that horizontal across my mat. I've got a flat block for the head with the long edges of the block parallel to the long edges of the mat. And then take your time. Want to make sure everything lines up appropriately. We want the back body to feel supported in just the right spot, right? There's a sweet spot where if you get your back on that blanket, should be right at the bottom tip of the shoulder blade. And I know it's in the right place in my body when I reach across the body with one arm and take hold of the edge of the blanket. It should be right under your armpit, right? So it's not towards the back of your neck. It's not towards the back of your hips. It's right at the thoracic spine, which sometimes feels a little cranky when you get here. So if you got into the position and you kind of went, ugh, that wouldn't be unusual. I don't know how else to describe the sensation except for that kind of noise. Now take a few moments and do any sorting out that feels appropriate. So you might be rocking from side to side, might be kind of curling yourself around. Your knees might still be bent. But then if the low back is okay with it, go ahead and extend the legs. Let them be a little wider than hips distance and let them relax. Now, if this is problematic, it's causing any tension in the low back, then you'll bend the knees, turn the big toes towards each other, and let the knees fall into each other. That's a little bit easier on the low back if you're feeling tension there today, right? Don't push it. We're not in the business of causing pain, right? Stretch is one thing, pain is very much another. Wherever you are, I want you to give yourself permission to surrender here, letting go of the weight of the body. And then we have a bit of a unique scenario where we can take the head from side to side, and there's a little bit of traction built in. Because for most people now, the shoulders are lower than the head, so the neck is a little bit elongated. So taking the head from side to side. Making sure to drop the opposite shoulder. So if you're taking the head to the right, you're dropping the left shoulder a little bit more down and back, and vice versa. Eventually bringing the head back to neutral, chin moves towards the chest so that the back of the neck is nice and long. Lower frontal ribs turn down towards the floor. And then if your legs are extended, I want you to gently reach through the inner heels and then roll the big toes towards each other. It's not a big action. And then lifting the arms towards the sky, let's take opposite hand to opposite forearm. And then you'll either take the arms clear over the crown of the head or let them rest on the forehead. It just depends on what feels good in your shoulders. Lower frontal ribs turn down towards the floor. Pubic bone moves towards the belly button to lengthen the low back. And then we're not over efforting anywhere. So if you can relax the toes, that would be great. Inner thighs heavy, back of the neck nice and long. Once all of these little landmarks are addressed, then we can breathe, right? That's the whole thing here. Inhaling, exhaling, allowing ourselves to be in the shape. And then in that shape, the breath is what does the work. So give yourself the opportunity to settle in here. Perhaps you're taking the biggest breaths yet. The low back is long. There's a little bit of engagement through the legs, a little bit of engagement through the abdomen, but nothing big, right? We're thinking maybe 15, 20% engagement. Allowing the predominant sensation to be that of softness. Then notice which forearm is on top. On your next inhalation, you'll reach the arms behind you, palms of the hands face each other. Get nice and long. Think of reaching from the outer rib to the elbow to the fingertip. And then as you exhale, the opposite forearm is on top. And now it might need different support, right? Because we've changed which shoulder is active. So if you need to use your forehead as a shelf, please feel free to do it. And then just a light refresh of the different anatomical locations we're working with. So a little bit of pubic bone towards belly button, a little bit of turning the rib cage down, and then drawing the chin towards the chest. Inner thighs are heavy, big toes rolling slightly towards one another. And can we let everything else fall away and let the breath be the focus? Another 2, 3 breaths here. And then on the exhalation, you're releasing the arms. They come out and down into that T shape again. Everyone bends the knees if they're not already. And then anything goes here. So what is the body asking for in this shape? So the common way to work is to take the knees and the head from left to right. Right? In this way, you start to massage the upper back. But sometimes we need to shift. Sometimes we need to move up or down on that blanket. Sometimes we need to linger on one side or the other. Sometimes we need to bend the elbows and take the fists towards each other across the chest to spread the flesh of the upper back a little more. And then there's anything else that feels good. It might be something that I haven't described. It might be something else that's feeling really useful. Don't worry, do whatever is sort of instinctual here. Let yourself find what feels necessary. Softening the jaw, the teeth, the tongue, right? We're not ever being aggressive, but at the same time, we're really allowing ourselves to indulge in sensation here. Nice. All right. Then, as you feel ready, when you feel complete, and you might not yet, but when you feel complete, then we're rolling all the way to one side. So take your time. Use the hands to push yourselves up, push yourselves out. We're setting up for our Supta Padangusthasana work, right? I like to call that the Swiss Army knife of poses because it gets everything. So I've taken my rolled blanket, unrolled it, and folded it for my head. I've got a block nearby and a strap nearby, and then I'm coming back down to lay with my head and neck supported. And that's so important that the blanket's pulled all the way up to the top of your shoulders so that that whole complex of head and neck feels supported. It changes something in your neurology, right? It changes something in your perception. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. Arms are either resting so that your hands are on your lower frontal ribs, or they're simply out to the side. And once again, we could take the head from side to side. So we did it with the block underneath. Now we're doing it with just the blanket, trying to find mobility there. Yes, and then bringing the head back to neutral. On an exhalation, invite that right knee into the chest. I'm holding on over the shin, but if that felt challenging in the knee, you could always switch the hands to be between the thigh and the calf. It just depends on how it feels in your knee. I'm holding on with both hands. This is important because in a moment, we're going to let that knee drift off to the right. And you get a nice stretch through the left shoulder if you're holding on with both hands. So take an inhale here. Then as you exhale, think about softening the hip, letting that right knee drift to the right as much as it wants to. The left hip can get light. Eventually, perhaps your right elbow comes to the floor to kind of keep you from rolling over. And then at the same time, we're turning the head to the left. Turning the head to the left. Then we're just breathing. Long, full, steady inhalation. Complete, satisfying exhalation. Navel's relaxed, throat is relaxed. Make sure that the left shoulder isn't moving towards the chin, but rather is moving away from the face. Gorgeous. On your next inhalation, come back to neutral. From here, we'll place our flat block at the outer right hip. It needs to be closed for support. We're taking up our strap, and then we're going to place the strap around the heel bone today, right? So right around the heel bone. And so if that feels challenging, you can just get it around the foot. And then I call it the fire starter. You pull the strap back and forth until you can slide it all the way to the heel bone, right? So I'm right at the back of the heel. It's that spot that when you put on a well-fitting pair of shoes, you get that little thunk when the foot goes into the shoe. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can look. My feet are very white and the strap is black, so you can really see where it is. I've lost all my summer color by now. Shoulder blades are down the back, chin is moving towards the chest. Now you might need more slack in the strap. I don't care if your leg is 90 degrees towards the sky. Let's just be clear. I also don't care if you can put your toes in your mouth. That's not what it's about. And then a couple of times, I want you to bend the knee towards the chest, keeping the tension on the strap. Nice. And then as if you were pressing with the ball of the foot, re-extend the leg. We'll do this 2, 3 more times. Bending the knee towards the chest, the foot is lightly flexed, and then leading a bit with the ball of the foot, we extend the leg. Let's do it one more time. Bending the knee towards the chest, and then pressing through the ball of the foot, extending the leg. Nice.
Now from here, we can extend that left leg onto the earth, move it to the left 2 inches. Make sure the back of the hip on that right side is heavy, right? I noticed in my body, I'd started to peel the back of the hip off the earth. That's not what we're trying to do. Then from here, both straps go into the right hand. I don't know if you remember the trick, but you can put your index finger between the straps and then hold on around that. And the index finger helps to create a little bit of friction, so it's easier to hold the strap. Left arm reaches out to the left, palm of the hand is down. Inhale to get long. Then as you exhale, that right leg moves out and down to the right. Make sure your block is in the right place. Mine had shifted somehow. Now, 2 options. This is a more restorative class. So if you want to slide your right hand down the strap and take your elbow to the earth, that can be a really nice way to work. Others, you want to work just a little bit more strongly today, which is fine. You'll keep your arm extended and plug your upper right arm bone into the shoulder socket. Everyone moves the tailbone towards the inner left heel. Everyone draws the chin towards the chest. One of the ways I like to do this is by pressing the back of that left leg firmly into the ground. That really helps to elongate the back body. Couple of breaths here, breathing and reaching. Some of you were with me last week. Remember me pressing down on the head of the left femur bone, getting that leg to descend. Nice. Another deep breath here. Then as you exhale, bringing that leg back up to neutral. Now we're switching hands. Left hand takes the strap. Right thumb sneaks into the right hip crease, and I'm holding on to my outer right hip. I've gripped onto the flesh and bone there. I'm pressing the back of the hip into the earth, and when I do that, my leg moves to the right. That's okay. And then we're rolling the outer hip away. So now the right side of the body is very long. The leg might turn out slightly. That's fine. Then from all of that, we start to take this right leg to the left any amount. At no point am I letting the right hip come off the floor. At no point am I letting the right hip hike towards the rib cage. I'm maintaining the adjustment. Nice. Really breathing here. Navel is back, back of the neck is long. Soften the jaw. Nice. Inhaling the leg back to neutral. Spread those straps out between both hands. We're going to take the leg a little towards us, a little away, a little towards us, a little away. Then exhale, bend the knee, release the leg from the strap. For a moment, both legs relaxed on the earth. Back of the neck is still long. And just see whatever differences you feel from right to left. They might be profound, they might be subtle. Just depends on how your body's receiving the movement today. Gorgeous. From here, it's a good opportunity to move your block to the second side. Everyone bends the knees now. Right foot comes to the floor, left knee comes towards the chest, either interlacing over the shin or folding the hands between the thigh and the calf. Move the shoulder blades down the back. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, start to let that left knee drift to the left any amount. Again, the right hip might get light. It's totally fine. You're letting the right arm be taken across the body. We can turn the head to the right, letting the weight of the body do the work. Don't let the right shoulder come towards the chin. We're moving it away and down. Abdomen's moving back, breath is full. Gorgeous. On your next inhalation, come back to neutral. Find your strap. Let's scoop up that leg, sliding the strap to the back of the heel, lengthening the leg. Just take a few moments to really stretch. Back of the hip is dropping, heel bones pressing into that strap, shoulder blades down the back. Notice how quickly the chin wants to lift as we stretch the back plane of the body. And then we'll work with that bend and extend again, letting the knee come towards the chest. I try to keep the foot parallel to the sky. And then to extend, I lead slightly more through the ball of the foot to lengthen the leg. Then I lightly flex, exhale, knee comes towards the chest. Press through the ball of the foot, not so much that you lose the strap, it's a little action. One more time, just like this. Exhaling, bending the knee, it comes towards the chest. Press through the ball of the foot gently, lengthen the leg. See if that gave you any more space. Then from here, we extend the right leg onto the ground. Right leg moves to the right a few inches. Make sure the back of the left hip is heavy. Right? I only say it again because I know how quickly we lose that contact. Then both sides of the strap go into that left hand. Remember the index finger trick? Right arm reaches out to the right. We inhale here to get long. Exhale, letting the leg go out and down to the left. If you've run into a wall like I have here, which is fine, you can press the foot into the wall. Sometimes it's a very nice way to work. It brings the femur bone back into the acetabulum, back into that hip socket. And then press the back of the right leg down so that the back of the neck can be nice and long. If you want to, you could keep the left arm straight, plugging the upper left arm into the shoulder socket, or you can slide your hand down the strap to bring the elbow to the earth, especially if you need more grounding. It gives you more foundation to work from, right? Sometimes that's exactly what we need. Nice. Navel towards the floor beneath you. Soften the jaw and the throat. Sometimes to soften the throat, we need to swallow, right? That can be a nice way to work. Full inhale, complete exhale. One more inhale just because we can. And then now on the exhale, we bring this leg back up to neutral. We switch hands. Right hand takes the strap. Left thumb, left hand now is free to give our adjustment. So we tuck the thumb in. We press the back of the hip to the ground. My leg goes to the left. Maybe yours did too. We roll the outer hip away. That perhaps turns the leg out a bit. And then it's from there, we're trying to keep that hip down and away as we start to take this left leg to the right any amount. It's a small action, but it has profound effects. So you might feel a lot of sensation, although you didn't move very much. That's okay. And then did the back of the neck shorten? It's so fast. It's almost, you don't even notice until you're like, oh, wait. Nice full inhale, complete exhale, and then inhale the leg back to neutral. Spread the straps out between both hands. Take the leg towards you, away, towards you, away. And then exhale, release the leg from the strap. Both legs resting on the earth, elbows resting on the earth, hands on the lower frontal ribs. And let's just take 3 breaths for nothing. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Bending the knees now, one at a time, bringing the feet to the earth. Let's let the knees and head go in opposition. Bringing out the body. Beautiful. And then let yourself roll all the way over to one side. Use the hands to help yourself up, help yourself out. Let's come to a table pose. Coming to our table pose, planting the hands well. Fingers are stretching. index fingers parallel, a little cat and cow just because we can. So inhaling to lift the tailbone, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale, navel to spine, tailbone and head come down. Going back and forth at your breath pace, might be faster or slower than mine. We're just investigating, how does the spine feel? We've been in a couple of different positions on the floor. Now we're getting some freedom there. And then coming to a neutral spine, reaching through the tailbone, reaching through the crown of the head. Let's inhale here. Exhale, wag the tail to the right, turn to look over the right shoulder. Inhale through center, exhale, second side. Go back and forth a few times, again at your breath pace. Beautiful. And then we're headed to a child's pose. So big toes move towards each other. Knees are slightly wider than the hips. Hips go back towards the heels. Now, if this didn't work for me, I could absolutely do child's pose in a chair, over a bed. I could absolutely do child's pose in a more upright position. Those that can, I want you to take a block underneath your forehead. So even if I was going over a surface with my torso on a bed or something like that, I can still take a block underneath my forehead, right? And if you needed to take a block underneath your hips or something between your thighs and calves, that's also a way to work. But the block under the forehead affords us the ability to do a bit of an eyebrow massage, right? We massage the feet, now we're massaging part of the head. I'm getting both ends. And so you get the eyebrow massage by taking the head a little side to side. So my eyebrows are resting on the block, and then I rock my head a little left and right. If you're wearing glasses, you might have to take them off. They might be in the way. And if you've never had an eyebrow massage, you've never done this before, it really feels useful, right? You're taking some of the tension out of the face. Our face, those are the muscles that get used the most and not stretched nearly at all, right? We can stretch our arms, we can stretch our legs, we can stretch our back body, the front body, but our face very rarely gets any attention like that. So just taking a few moments to get that stretch there, to get that sensation, pressure, so good. All right, taking the head back to neutral now. I want you to press into the hands, and then we're going to turn our block to the tall aspect, because now we're going to rest our chin. So I'm coming down onto my forearms and I'm placing my chin. And now we can titrate how much of the sensation we end up with, right? So I can be more upright with my hips more over my knees, or I can start to draw my hips back, melting my chest towards the earth, right? So it's a little bit like cow pose here. Stretching the front of the throat. You're absolutely in charge of how much pressure you put there. Beautiful. And then pressing into the hands, coming up, coming out. Block can go to the side for now. Let's stretch the legs out. So taking the left leg back, starting to tuck the toes under, stretch each toe, give it an opportunity, and then stretching back into the heel bone, opening up the back of the thigh, the back of the calf, the back of the ankle, hugging the muscles to the bone a bit. Maybe the rocking back and forth to get a nice stretch through the foot feels good. So you go towards the toes and then you press the heel back, going towards the toes and then pressing the heel back. Nice. Yes, and then let's switch sides. That knee comes down, second foot goes back. We tuck the toes under, go slow. right? We did do a foot massage, but now the stretching is happening. And perhaps pressing the heel all the way back to open the whole back line. And then if that little rocking back and forth felt useful, you can absolutely do it on this side. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. All right, and then once you feel complete, we bring that knee down. Going to set up for a little bit of bolster twist. If you have a bolster nearby, great. If not, you could stack two blankets on top of each other. So if I didn't have a bolster, I would take two blankets folded just like this and stack them one on top of each other. And then you end up with a bolster-like surface. Otherwise, you take your bolster lengthwise down your mat. We're going to come sit side saddle to the bolster, otherwise known as Bharadvajasana, right? It's Bharadvajasana legs. They're going to reorganize as we come down. That's fine. But we all start out with the same sort of general idea. So I'm sitting side saddle to my bolster. I'm a taller person and my bolster's a shorter bolster. So I've got a little gap between my hip and the bolster. It's fine. We're going to readjust as we need to. Placing both hands on the floor, I turn my torso strongly towards my bolster or my stack of blankets if that's what I'm using. And you can see as I did that, my legs reorganized. We're letting that happen. Then, like a cat, I'm pawing the floor towards me to lift and spread the frontal plane of the body. Then, as I exhale, I slowly lower myself down, perhaps turning my head away from my knees. Some people can do that, it feels good. Others, it doesn't feel good, so you're going to keep your head towards your knees. Now, depending on where I've ended up, I might need a little more support for the head. One of the ways we can do that is by using a block to elevate the end of our bolster or the end of our blankets, right? You can also, if you're on a bolster, use a blanket or fold the edge of the blanket over. There's lots of different ways to work, but we're giving the spine a little bit of a twist. And once you've landed, you let everything relax. Taking a few breaths, you might even close the eyes here. Softening the jaw, the teeth, the tongue. Allowing yourself to surrender. Allowing the belly to soften. Allowing the breath to equilibrate. And then if your head is turned away from your knees, for the last few breaths here, I want you to turn your head towards your knees. So now your nose and your knees are pointed in very much the same direction. You're allowing the torso to drape. And then without disturbing yourself too much, you're going to bring your hands to the floor. And it's a little bit like doing a push-up. You push yourself away from the earth. And then you figure out how you're going to turn around. Some people go through table pose. I'm a fan of just flipping around to the other side. Now we've got our second hip. It's lined up with the center of our support, whether it's blankets or a bolster. Hands on either side. We paw the floor towards us to lift and spread the torso, and then we slowly come down. Maybe our head turns away on this side. Maybe it doesn't. Right? We don't want to crank the neck. We don't want discomfort, but we also want to try and see. We never know. The body is constantly changing, right? There's always an opportunity to get a little curiosity going. See, how is it today? Then once you're in your pose, you're letting go, right? You're allowing there to be a real sense of surrender. Softening the jaw, the throat, the belly. Again, this is another one of those poses where we get into the shape and the breath is then what's doing sort of the heavy lifting, right? The breath is what is allowing us to reap the benefits. And then if your head is turned away from the knees, we'll turn our head back towards the knees for the last few breaths here. How is it in the eyes? And then just as we did on the first side, we move the hands in, we press the floor away to come up, to come out. You're going to turn your support now, whether it's your bolster or your stack of blankets, so that it's horizontal across the mat. And then we're going to come to sit on our support. Make sure your runway is clear. You're not going to land on anything. I need to move my hips slightly forward so that when I go to lay back with my torso and head on the floor, that the bolster is right underneath the sacrum. Another way to come into this would be to have the bolster next to you, come to lay down, press the feet down, lift the hips, and then slide your support underneath you. So those are two different ways to come in. We're taking just a few breaths here, relaxing the abdomen, feet are on the floor. Take the head from side to side, relaxing any tension. Nice. And then bring the head back to neutral. And an exhale, let the knees come towards the chest. So now we're in sort of an upside down child's pose. This is a nice alternative, right? It very much stretches the low back in a similar fashion. Gorgeous. And then as you feel ready, we're pressing the feet up towards the sky. Now, this is a more restorative class today. So if you wanted to soften the knees, soften the ankles, and just sort of hang in space, it's a really nice way to work, right? So you're really letting the weight of the legs pool into the pelvis. Now, there are some of you that it's going to feel really useful to keep the legs nice and long, but not everyone. Right? So allow there to be softness if necessary. Then we're just breathing here. And it might be that with the breath, much like an ocean wave moving seaweed, that your legs move as you breathe, and that's fine. Right? You can even let that happen. And then bending the knees, soles of the feet are coming together. Reach through, catch your ankles, draw your heel bones towards your pelvis, lengthen the back of the neck. Could you press the outer shoulder blades down? And then anyone who feels like they needed a little extra neck stretch is to take the head a little side to side. Nice. Bringing the head back to neutral. Scoop the knees together. Listen carefully. We're going to pop the hips off our support and push our support out from underneath us. So now it's right at the back of the glute muscles, right at the back of the upper thighs. If I was using my 2 blanket stack, I would sneak one of the blankets off to put behind my head. If I'm using my bolster, I just grab my blanket and put it behind my head. And then I'm extending the legs over the bolster, extending the arms by my sides. We'll go ahead and close the eyes. If it's chilly where you are and you need to cover up, put socks on, whatever, do it. Right? We're at that transitional season in between. I know it's going to be warm for many of us today, but right now it's, well, at least here in Maine, it's quite chilly. It was in the 30s. All right, before we settle into stillness, go ahead and open the mouths wide, sticking the tongue out, stretching the tongue, the jaw, the throat. Surrendering the weight of your body now, draw the tongue back into your mouth. Let just the lips come back to touch. Nice, and then let go yourself completely. Let loose yourself completely. Let yourself rest here in stillness and silence, knowing now there's nothing to do. Letting one strand of your awareness come back to hear my voice. Allow yourself to re-enter gently by deepening the breath. And as always, you're in the privacy of your own home. If you need more time and space to be in Shavasana, then you're welcome to stay. Others, you might feel ready to move, and if that's you, start to bring movement back to your fingers and your toes, back to your ankles and your wrists. And as you feel ready, gather the knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug as if you were hugging your very best friend. And very slowly, very mindfully, roll to your right side. Pause there for a moment. Take in the qualities of the earth beneath you. Take in that stability, that structure, that density. And then very, very slowly, the head's going to be the last thing to arrive. Use the hands to help you. You're going to push yourself back up to a seated position. Push yourself back up to a seated position.
And we'll end together. Even if you decided to stay in Shavasana, you are still with us. Those that have come upright, lengthen the spine, reaching through the crown of the head, descending the tailbone. Take the hands together in front of the heart. Palm against palm, fingers elongated. Lift the sternum to the base of the thumbs. Broaden the collarbones. And on an exhalation, let the chin move forward. Let the chin move down. We're bowing to the seat of the soul. We're bowing to that divine inner wellspring of kindness, compassion, patience, and joy. The light in me is deeply honored by your light, grateful for your practice, and humbled by your presence. And in case no one's told you yet today, I love you. And I am convinced of your capacity to continue crafting a life worth living. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Really good job today. Really way to relax.